Alright, mate. See this mage lot? No chance. Alright folks, how are we doing? It's Shabash. Welcome back to the channel. It's Orna again, and we've got a very special guide. I don't know how many weeks late we are, but it's part 2 of the Swashbuckler guide series. And we're diving straight in. Tier 7, not even a tier 7 class, we're not even that far yet. Tier 7 spec Swashbuckler with the tier 6 Blademaster class. And you might be wondering why tier 6, like I thought Swash is a tier 7 spec, which obviously is correct, but it's very often and very common for players during the first playthrough to reach tier 7 without having to require 2 million orns to pick up the tier 7 class. It's pretty heavy compared to the tier 6 class, which costs what, 500,000 orns? It's a really big jump. So a lot of people are going to go in with Blademaster and you're going to think, can I play Swash at tier 7 with Blademaster? And the answer is a resounding yes. We're going to get some great insight into the playstyle of Swash, what it's all about, what it's good at, what it's not so good at, and believe me, there's extremes on either side. This guy's a tier 10 Swashbuckler, actually knows exactly what he's all about. Don't you, Toast? Alright, FYI, just before we hop in, I've got this guide written out in like full detail on the Orna Legends website, so if you prefer written guides, be sure to check that out. Got the loadouts, the skills, the gear, all that kind of stuff on there. And there's links in the description to 2 Discord channels which are really worth joining. We've got the Orna Legends Discord and we've got the Arisen Swashbuckler Discord. So, okay, quick ratings for this build. We've got 5 different pieces of content. World Farm, giving it S tier. Normal Gauntlets, S tier as well. Boss Gauntlets, B tier. There's a couple of mobs. Tier 7 is actually pretty tough for new players, new characters there. You got the Hydras, you've got the Fallen Raz. Any kind of berserks are gonna ruin your day quite easily. PvP, we're going to give it an A rating. Really good in arena relative to its level, even being a class tier down. We're still going to be able to take a lot of folk down. And finally, raiding. This is getting an F. This is like broken, basically. Broken or poor, if this was an item. Not so good, but we'll get into it, and it does get better with Majistrate. So the idea really with Blademaster Swash, get as much orns as fast as possible. Arena, World Farm, that's the main 2 orn income. So, main strengths for this build, speed and killing things faster, also getting killed faster as well. We're gonna, yeah, as I said, the Zerks the Zerks in the Gauntlets are going to be able to one-shot us pretty easily. Even, especially those Arisen mobs, the Arisen Draconian Lords, the Arisen Lost Pharaohs. But dungeons are going to be super quick. We only literally need 2 buffs. Go back and get Druid if you haven't already to get Bear's Might and Warcry, and that's it. We're good to go. We're just going to volley or trike it all the way through. Itemization, we start to unlock the beauty of Swash. We've got so many more options available to us. Not necessarily at this tier, but we're going to start to quickly pick up pieces of gear here and there. Basically, every tier you go up higher, we're going to have more Swash gear available to us. One of the biggest strengths actually of going Swash is the community aspect. Already mentioned the Arisen Swashbuckler Discord. Best place to mingle, hang out, live this Swash lifestyle. There's plenty of super dedicated Swash people out there. They've got min-max builds for almost every class. I'm not just talking endgame, every class, so be sure to go check that out. And on the flip side of that, as I mentioned, I gave it an F rating, I think, for raiding. It's honestly really terrible. Like for raiding the same kingdom tier, Baylor Elite, which has got some really good weapons first, unfortunately it's going to be super difficult to do any more than like 10k damage. So ideally you're in a kingdom which is turning over Baylor Elite regularly. You can get those tags in, at least until you get the Magistrate class, where it's going to become a little bit easier, but still not as smooth sailing as say Berserker or even Bard for melee playstyles. The other main weakness is going to be, as I said, preparing to die a lot more than usual, but also ripping dungeons. We're going to lose dungeons. The beauty of it is we're going to fly through them when we win. And it could end at any second, and get used to losing dungeons because it's going to happen a lot. Thankfully, with way vessels being really abundant now, you should hopefully set up a wee network of way vessels with dungeons around with your kingdom mates on the Orna Legends Discord, etc, etc, and you should be able to fly through a few dungeons a day, and being able to world farm as well super fast. If you can go out, smash loads of bosses, especially in the world, pick up loads of keys, and that kind of offsets the losses of dungeons a little bit better. So let's have a look at the class. Second chance here. It's a great passive. It's going to allow us to win more battles than usual. It's like a free get out of jail free card that pops up every now and then. And Crest of Avalon, basically this is how we get our stat charges. Once you charge this, you basically need to kill 10 either Zerk or Arisen enemies, and you know, honestly with an Affinity Candle or even just a couple of normal dungeons, you'll max this out super fast, and that's the standard for this tier. I think it's 20% to all buffs outside of PvP. Skill wise, honestly all of these skills except maybe Coup de Grace are really useful at certain points during the game, like Riposte, X slash, Horizontal slash. All of those I have used really for a lot of tier 10. X slash is the one I use on most of my endgame builds, especially for PvP. Proccing that bleed, the bleed proc is super nice. So the skill's really nice. Coup de Grace, just because it takes 3 turns, you're never really going to use it that much. Although it can be useful because it can't miss. Good enough against those Grand Mystics, not a bad shout. Preferred weapons, dagger swords, curved swords. Really, for Swashbuckler, if we check the Swashbuckler spec, you've got the curved swords preferred weapon as well. So ideally we're going to get curved weapons, and that's going to be fine for your Swash career, getting that 5% at least. If we pick up the Shadow Katana from Baylor Elite, we'll come on to items what to look for later on. But that Shadow Katana really lasts long into tier 8 and tier 9 as well, smashing through tier 9. Actually, my next character in tier 9, midway through tier 9, and I've not replaced the Shadow Katana. Like, Demon Forged it, I've not found the Ithris Blade yet. So, sidesteps we're never really going to use, don't know what that's about, and these stats here aren't really worth a lot. Obviously, we're here for the Swashbuckler spec. If you haven't seen my beginner guide to Swashbuckler, I go really in depth into how Swashbuckler works, why we get the massive attack bonus. So go and check that out if you haven't already. Final thing I want to mention on the class aspect is the upgrade that Majistrate actually gives us in terms of survivability. Just looking at it, you get over 1100 HP which as a base, which you might not have thought of before, but once you start meeting Magistrates in the arena, you'll notice that, you know, obviously in the arena your HP is doubled. But this is actually a huge base. It's going to be awesome for not ripping as many dungeons, and we're also going to be able to raid against Baylor Elite a bit more as well. Obviously the extra attack is a nice bonus as well, and we'll come on to the rest of the skills, but really you want to get to Magistrate as fast as possible. So okay, let's move on to the gear, and number one priority is our weapon. It's going to be the biggest source of attack. We need to get a really good weapon as fast as possible. Now coming out of tier 6, if you've got a Titan Lunar Dagger or the Titan Axe, that's not too bad, and the Basilisk Tooth as well, from the Green Basilisk and also the Giant Red, are pretty solid weapons. At tier 7, our first goal is going to be finding a really good usable tier 7 boss weapon. So we're going to target Tiamat and Typhon in dungeons, in boss dungeons, and also the Baylor Elite. Just keep tagging that Kingdom Raid. Those are the 3 main sources that we're going to find a decent weapon that's going to really last us all the way through tier 8 and into tier 9 even. So a legendary one is absolutely fine. And what you're going to do, level 1 to immediately to level 6. If you've got a backup weapon, you know, you can level it up all the way. If you get an ornate one of these, level it to tier 10 immediately. On this character I've got, I'm using, I think this is a 160 something legendary bow of Tiamat. Got it to level 6 at the moment, and see just under 500 attack. I've actually got 3 bestial eyes in it. We'll come on to Adornments later on. And then I've got a Pale Blade, also I think around 150, 160 quality wise from Baylor Elite, and you can see at the same level it's got a little bit more attack than the Tiamat Axe, like 38 more attack, bit of HP. But this one notably doesn't have the dragon element, of course, so I'm using this one in PvP and pretty much the Tiamat bow everywhere else, especially in dungeons going against the Tiamat and Typhons. You get that extra dragon damage, so that's super nice. A decent farming weapon is of course the Deathbringer as well, which drops from the Anku boss. The only problem with this is it's got the dark element, which can be super annoying at this tier. There's quite a few enemies that are immune to dark, including Baylor Elite himself. But to be honest, if you do pick up a good one, you may as well take it to level 10, use it in the World Farm, use it in Gauntlets if you can. It will be replaced by a Venin or even an Arisen Deathbringer, but most likely a Venin because, again, it doesn't have the element, and that's at tier 9, or if you get lucky and pick one up at tier 8, which is of course possible. Final quick mention to the High Fomorians. These mobs are super common. Drop the High Fomorian Sword, really common, so it's a pretty good chance you'll get an ornate one of these, and it can be a really good like starter weapon at tier 7, and as using it as a backup while you're smithing up your good boss weapons. But it's never going to be best in slot because it doesn't have that boss scaling, but pretty easy to pick one of these up. So really aim for the Tiamat, the Typhon, and Baylor Elite. Those weapons are what we want. Now we're going to come onto the offhand, and really there's 2 options here which are going to make the game super smooth. and they are the Blight Arrows or the Arcane Arrows. Now these drop from the arena or any kind of PvP actually, and they're tier 5 actually, so you can start getting them from tier 5. And just opening them up here, really, Blight Arrow gives us Blight, chance to proc Blight, Arcane gives a chance to proc the 4 basic status elements, but they both give us the ability Volley 2. This is an offhand ability, it costs 0 mana, and it's basically like a free Tri-Cut 2 in terms of damage. We do lose a little bit of ward, we do get some attack, and you can see here I haven't actually picked up anything better than common quality. I've literally not even got a superior one of these. So what I've done, I've leveled up my Blight Arrows to level 6. I personally kind of prefer Blight. You lose a little bit less ward, which can help for clearing dungeons a bit more successfully. Ideally you find like an ornate one, obviously you get that more attack, because you can see there's 42 attack, you know, with all the Swash bonuses, Origin Town bonus, Party bonus, those do add up. So really, get yourself one of these Blight Arcane Arrows, level 1 up to 10, cheap to upgrade, so that's absolutely fine. And this is going to be your bread and butter. You'll see in the gameplay section how smooth and just like, yeah, just like this is like a god tier item for the mid game. Just trying to find my mirror here, which is the other thing we're going to talk about. I spelt mirror with 3 R's, that's a pretty good English. And the reason we want a mirror, obviously mirror was actually probably best in slot before offhand skills came into effect, where Volley 2 now we don't need mana at all, so we don't really care about it. But mirror is pretty decent for raiding, and for specifically for Osmostrike raiding, which is basically the only way to raid kind of successfully against raids at our level. Better for Magistrate, we have that much more health, that extra 1000, over 1000 base health. Again, this is a tier 5 arena drop. If you get a good one, level it up. I've leveled this to 8 so far, and to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that. That's going to give you a big chunk of Osmostrikes. So we'll use that during raids. I'll show you how bad Blademaster raiding is, but it will come more into effect during Magistrate raiding. Okay, alright, now let's talk about the armor slots. Now remember how the Swash bonus works. The closer you are to just under 0 net defense from your gear, you're going to maximize the Swash bonus, which at the current stage of the game is a straight 50% multiplier, just a flat 1.5 multiplier to your attack bonus if you have the maximum bonus. So it means we're going to be targeting low defense gear. You can forget your ornates, well, kind of, we'll come on to that in a second. But for now, at this tier, there's not too much equipment which actually gives us like minus defense. Crimson Pinions come into effect at tier 8, so there's only really a couple of ways we can lower our defense at this point. So literally, one of the best ways at this tier is to not wear anything. Like, just go naked, you don't even need to wear anything. That's a good way to get the Swash bonus. So that's an option. So head slot, we can pick up Alden's hat. Fantastic hat, really famous. You got to hand in a quest to the NPC, and he will give you a standard one, and then after that you can pick up Alden's hats from the end of dungeon. So keep doing those dungeons. You'll pick up a broken or a poor, and the goal is obviously to get elemental versions of them with that elemental resist. So here I've got a poor Alden's hat. Gives you stun immunity. If you don't know what Alden's hat does, it basically gives you stun immunity. Now the Alden's hat don't get any adornment slot, so you don't need to level it up. In our chest slot, Dark Garb. This gives us an extra 5% orns. So in your World loadout and in your Gauntlet loadout, we're going to be using a Dark Garb. This drops from Reapers, supposedly from Anchor as well, but I'm not 100% sure. But mainly I got these from Reapers, and you can get them in Mimics and stuff as well actually. Other option at this tier is like random low tier elemental chests. If you want a specific resistance, like literally tier 1 goblin armor with a resistance with an element on it is very, very viable. Like simple shoes, like sparkling simple shoes. If you needed lightning resistance, for example, like if you want to raid Titan a bit easier, something with earth resistance is great. Instead of having to wear an earthen belt or a fire belt against Baylor Elite, saves that slot for another curse ring or an adamantine ring. So get into the idea of low tier gear, especially random origin gear. Random origin gear literally will say random origin on it, and we want to get a tier 3 version. And when we master forge these, they get 8 slots. So this is going to be perfect when we can actually fill them with pinions and other adornments, maybe mana jewels, something like that, jewels of the deep later on. you can get these, keep your eye out for daily quests or NPC quests where this is a reward, or you can get them from the end of tier 3 dungeons. So we can see in my leg slot for world farming and gauntlets, I literally don't have anything there. I don't have anything decent to put in there right now. You can see these are all ornate with pretty high defense, so I suppose I could put these famed skill hobgoblin boots actually with fire resistance. Oh, that's perfect. I didn't know I had them. That's going to be perfect for raiding Baylor Elite actually, so yeah, we'll come on to that later on. Final shout here for boots at this tier actually is Fey Dragon, the world raid boss. Start trying to get hits on them, they give you dragon resistance. It's much better later on really, but you do also get 2% action rate on them, so it can be useful for PvP with your greater yokai or for Twilight Wisp healing. Let's talk about Titan, because I'm sure you've heard, oh, you need good Titan gear, it's really good for Swash. Why is it good for Swash? It gives really high base attack. See here the chest, I've got this lunar, ornate lunar garb chest, gives us 93 attack, but you can see that defense, 500 defense, that is huge at this tier, and as I said, there's literally no way that we can lower that enough to offset the Swash bonus. So I'm not using it right now, but make sure you tag Titan as much as you possible. You can. Basically, all the lunar armor slots, the head, the chest, and the boots are really useful. They've all got pretty high attack on them, so keep an eye out for them. Also, Salah's gear is an option. You can see, again, this is an NPC, complete her quest, and there's a little bit of attack, 18 attack, 80 defense. Honestly, if you want level and set up, you will get slightly more attack. It's actually not that huge of an upgrade unless you've got really nice curse rings, but you know, it's available. As you can see, personally, I'm not using it right now. I'm using the dark garb in my world loadouts. Okay, then accessories. Accessories are really important. And basically, you're going to start and you're going to want adamantine amulets, which are tier 6. You can see I've got an ornate one. I got one of these, I think randomly from a daily login reward when I was at tier 6. The base is 60 attack, which is super nice, and you can pick those up in shops, so make sure you check your shops. However, what we're going to want to start doing is finding Fafnir in the world. Drops us these cursed rings. These are really awesome. They're like the baby arisen rings. We've got attack, 50 to attack, and minus 100 to defense and resistance. So it shreds our defense, and by the way, this goes up. So if we had a 200% ornate, we'd get 100 attack and minus 200 defense. So that's really the only way we can actually offset our defense at this tier. So what you're going to do is you want to find Fafnirs in the world. I happen to have one here nearby, but I've got really shit weapons on. Oh my god. So, I'll come back to that. So for world farming, for gauntlets, you're going to want to use high attack. Honestly, you're going to kill things so fast. Tombs are an option, like especially Fafnir's Cursed Tomb. But if the tomb only gives you like 40 or 50% more experience, but you're killing stuff much faster without the tomb, you know, you got to find that balance. If you can kill stuff, you can still one-shot things with the tomb, yeah, put the tomb on, you're going to get more experience. Find what's working for you. We then have the status immunity accessories, which are going to be really important for every swashbuckler journey. We want the Ring of Anwin for the 4 immunities to paralyze, freeze, burn, and rot. Going to be good in raid later on as well. Anku's Ring, pretty decent immunity to sleep and cursed. So if you're using Mimic's Mischief and somebody wants to curse you a lot, you know, that could be a good shout. Use Mimic's Mischief, which actually gives you magic up as well. So if you're using a Twilight Wisp, bit of extra oomph for your Twilight Wisp there. Blight Pendant, really good for Baylor Elite actually. This drops from the arena. You're going to find Blight being really annoying, and obviously there is the Smelly Shoes from Naganin, but this guy we're only looking at gear you can get throughout the entire year, event free basically. And the main other one is Steady Pendant. Again, this is another arena drop, makes you immune to stun. Now, if you're wearing Alden's hat, you don't need a Steady Pendant. It means you can wear Ring of Anwin or Anku's Ring. So you see how there's the beauty of Swash right there. If we were Bard or Berserker, we'd want high defense, high resistance armor slots, so we wouldn't wear Alden's Ring at all. It's like 30 defense. Like who is gonna wear that? However, we've got it. We've got the stun immunity. We can put sleep immunity on with Anku's Ring. We can get freeze immunity with the Ring of Anwin, and like all of a sudden we're like this status immune beast. And people in PvP, they don't like that. You know, sleep dart, stun dart. Those are really common strategies for the arena at our tier. So keep that in mind. You know, mix and match. At least get one quantity of each of them. Quality does not matter. doesn't affect how the immunities work at all. So get one of each, use it where you need. Okay, finally on itemization, we're going to talk about weapon adornments. What can you stick in your gear? Now, for some reason, the weapons of Tiamat and Typhon are super ridiculous expensive to adorn and to remove. So if you do pick up an ornate one of them, just kind of set, forget, stick something in there you're not really that bothered about. There's three kind of main options you can go for. There's the plus attack jewels, like you can randomly find. You can get maybe up to 10 extra attack, which is like no problem, go for it. That's super nice. Get an extra 30, 40, 50 attack. You know, that's a nice 10% boost to your attack. Who doesn't want that? Other option is Bestial Eyes, which are actually pretty nice. These drop from the Behemoth boss, available in dungeons and from woods. And you kind of want a worse quality if you can. It slightly lowers your HP, and actually it does lower your defense resistance. So this is another way to lower our defense, but you don't want to drop your HP too much, especially if you're gauntlets raiding. Each Bestial Eye gives you +1 action rate to your pet. Now if you put 3 in there, which I've got on my current both Tiamat, I've got 3 in there, which might not seem a lot, plus your action rate. However, this applies to each skill of your pet, and if your pet has many skills like Greater Yokai or Twilight Wave, it's got 4 skills, so it's going to start using them really regularly. So I really like the Bestial Eyes, a really good option. Final option is probably Assassin's Jewels, which lower your opponent's defense occasionally. Stick as many in there as you can. Probably going to be better for raiding, so perhaps next year keep them. Always an option. The only really armor adornment I would suggest is anything that gives you plus to HP. But as you see, like Alden's doesn't have a slot. Random Origin Gear, of course, it has 8 slots if you find one now when you Master Forge it, so actually HP adornments are pretty good in there. Okay, let's move on to skills and loadouts. Now there's 2 main paths to Blademaster, that is the Majestic or the Dragoon. So if you haven't picked up Druid, the other tier 5 class by this point, I really recommend going back to pick it up, because we want that Bear's Might skill, which gives us double attack up. Honestly, the speed that we're going to be going through dungeons at, and you might also use it for world farming and even in PvP, really go pick up Bear's Might right now. The 250,000 orns, yes, pretty heavy cost, but really worth it in my opinion. I'm going to use Bear's Might in almost all of my loadouts here. Okay, so whether you went Majestic or Dragoon, our main spammable skill, as I said, is going to be Volley 2, especially in World Farm, especially in Dungeons, and in PvP, to be honest with you. So these loadouts are actually going to be fairly similar. Let's look at the Majestic path first. So this World loadout, we've got Volley 2, as I said, it doesn't show up in our skill loadout, but you do have it. Make sure you have your Blight Arrows or Arcane Arrows equipped, it will show up in battle. Then I'm using Dragon Strike. Pick that up from the Arcanist for not a lot of gold, costs 10 mana, that's our dragon skill. So anything immune to our weapon, we're going to use this. Obviously if you're using Tiamat or Typhon weapon, it already has dragon element on, and for that reason you want a different element, either double edge for physical or your faction element. So I use Earth Strike 2, my character is Earthen. If you were in Stormforce you would use Lightning Strike 2. Also have Sleep Dart and Stun Dart for Zergs or Zerg bosses, give us an extra turn here or there. Bear's Might again for high HP bosses. Osmo Strike 2, as we were Majestic we get Osmo Strike 2 for extra healing. In the world really probably not going to see that. And then Tricut 2 again, it's basically Volley. You could probably put Swordplay here as like a nuke spell just to get the extra damage. Swordplay will do more damage than Volley 2. Okay, Gauntlet loadout for the Majestic path. What we're going to do first, we want Warcry and Bear's Might. So turn 1 you're literally going to go Warcry and Bear's Might, and then that's you buffed up, ready to go. We don't really need any other buffs. Again, Volley 2 going to be our main spammable skill. Then we've got Stun Dart, Sleep Dart, just in case. We've got Osmo Strike for healing. Then we've got Dragon Strike and Earth Strike for just different elementals. Again, if you're using a Tiamat weapon, you could swap out Dragon Strike for Swordplay. Okay, PvP loadout. Now if you're spamming the arena, we're going to be using Volley 2 anyway. You should kill most people in roughly 2 hits on average. Higher HP enemies, we do have Bear's Might coming against those Magistrates, which you are going to find at tier 7. So you can use Bear's Might to buff up for 1 turn. I take Double Edge in there for resist enemies, especially if you've got dragon weapons against Dragon Knight, which not really going to be very nice. Double Edge is a high pen skill as well, so if for some reason your opponent has actually stacked defense and they've got Golem's Fortitude up, you might need to use Double Edge. Or your Earth Strike 2 spell, your Faction Elemental Strike 2 is decent there. Finally, Sleep Dart, Stun Dart, especially for Grand Mystics, which have that Mystic Feather ability. and Osmostrike 2 there finally for healing. You should have enough mana to get a couple of these off if required. Finally, let's look at raid loadouts, and honestly there's not that much point here. Again, it's very similar. You've got Bear's Might, Warcry as our attack buffs, then we've got debuffs, Threaten, Mute, Exploit to drop our opponent's attack, magic, and defense. You can obviously put in Omnistrike there, which has a chance to do all of the stat downs. I've just put those three there for now. You can swap on it's completely up to you. Then we've got Osmostrike 2, which is going to be our main damaging skill. This is with the mirror kind of Osmostrike strategy. And we've got Swordplay there as like a nuke, and you can use that when you are full HP, and when your enemies, basically when you've got a free turn, you can do as much damage as possible. Okay, if you went Dragoon, the loadouts are very, very similar, except for nuke spells, we're going to swap in Dragon's Vengeance 2, as long as you're keeping it charged. You do have to keep killing a fair amount of dragons to keep that charged. And then you can also use Blight Strike as our dragon element, basically your off element skill. And then bear in mind that you're going to probably only have Osmostrike 1 available to you if you didn't pick up Majestic, and that's obviously not going to give us as much healing because it's not going to do as much damage as Osmostrike 2. Those are really the only differences in the loadouts. So DB2, you're going to use, hopefully you went Dragoon because of Dragon's Vengeance and you keep that charged. Now let's look at pets. And I like three main options here. Twilight Wisp is a really fantastic pet, really good support pet, big healing, gets rid of stats immunities, actually does decent damage to finish off those enemies, does like 1000k, does like 1000 HP damage, unbuffed with its two spells, which is pretty nice. But the Greater Yokai, really good PvP pet, PvP specialist, really just putting statuses on your enemies. And then finally there is the Warhorse as well. If you ever last long enough in raids, to prop the double defense down, it can be decent, but I would honestly stick with Twilight Wisp for the majority of our gameplay. Alright, let's get some gameplay in finally, and let's get some good stuff going. So obviously if you're doing any kind of farming, you want to put your lucky coins, silver coins, experience potion. If you've got Spirit Dowsing Rods, they're fairly common as well, and Affinity Candle here are going to show you what this is all about. So the view distance, we don't want view distance right now, come to that. I'll show you the world farming gear. As you said, as before, just got the main weapons, got the Blight Arrows, which is going to be our main skill with Volley 2, Dark Garb for extra orns. Now we've come onto this already. Now I'm going to swap out Ring of Restraint for Curse Ring, and I'm going to quickly smash this Fafnir, which I've got sitting here, and hopefully we'll get a nice Curse Ring. So really, well farm, what you do. Ideally you go in a car, someone's car, and you just kind of travel around, but boom, 3.7k, and I don't have Crest of Avalon charged here. So we two-shot this tier 8 boss. Superior Curse Tomb, straight Curse Ring, but there you go, 2000 orns in 2 hits, which is not too bad. Of course, ideally, you would be, the best way to play Swash, or one of the best ways to play Swash for farming methods, is getting in a moving vehicle as a passenger, get your buffs up, get the shrines up. I'm going to make a video actually at this level with this character, and really see, do like a 10-minute stretch. Literally just 10 minutes of straight world farming bosses with shrines that you pick up on the freeway, on the highway, wherever. You can see normal mobs with this loadout give me like 80 orns, which honestly isn't that good. We're going to see in the arena we get like 800 orns, come to that. So really your best time for orn farming specifically, which is what we want to do, we want to get Magistrate as soon as possible. It's going to be spent either world farming against bosses if you can, and in the arena. But you can see, to charge up Crest of Avalon, pop an Affinity Candle, plenty of Arisens there, wasn't even charged, and we're pretty much one-shotting everything. Obviously we're getting 80 orns here. If you had a Shrine of Luck, we'd be doubling that, 160 orns. Nice little ornate there. Do I have any other bosses on? I don't think I do. Nope. So let's see how we get on. Here's one I made earlier. Here's a Zerk tier 7 Great Orc. Let's see how we get on with this. I don't know if Volley 2, it's going to damage. Okay, we got one shot there, as you can... we have fallen for the first time. First death. So you're going to get one shot, especially against Zerks, but 50% chance of getting second chance really, and we would have killed him with the second turn there. So well farming, absolutely spot on. If you're just sitting at work and you've got things spawning and spawning, this is ideal. Unless you do this all day. And that's pretty much all there is to it, really. Volley 2 away. Now, for the Zerks, if you went Dragoon and you have Dragon's Vengeance, for example, that Zerk, you could probably have used DV2 and did a lot of damage. Mine isn't charged right now. There you go. With Crest of Avalon slowly getting charged up, we're now pushing up to 4k. And I didn't show you my stats actually. My stats right now for this, just under 1700 attack. So this is what you can expect. I'm not even using that decent gear. Like my Blight Arrows is level 6, it's standard quality. My bow is, as I said, a 160, level 6 only, so you would want to level something up to level 10 very quickly. Yes, I've got a nice adamantine amulet. And the curse ring. That's literally 1700 attack. This is what you can expect. Let's kill this Draconian Lord. And then we're going to go and do dungeon. Do gauntlet. There we go. Okay. What's our Crest of Avalon at? Right, it's a little bit behind. Only 30 points. So as I said in the ratings, it's slightly better at normal gauntlets because there's just kind of less things that can take us down. So what we'll do is I'll pop my lookout, my brazier, so I can see another dungeon. And this is where you want a view distance loadout as well, so you can get in more dungeons, do them quicker. Pop my view distance. Boom. So yeah, Fire Pike or Avalon, Ascalon, sorry, drop in the arena gives you. So let's just do a normal gauntlet first, just to see how we get on. So gauntlet loadout currently exactly the same, which means our attack should be exactly the same. Yeah, it just went over 1700 with Crest of Avalon. So let's do this normal dungeon now, and yeah, you'll get that warning message that you don't have any gear on, which is funny, super nice. So there's my war cry, which sometimes fails for really annoying reasons. There should be a war cry too, which just grants you it for sure. And now we're going to start volleying. So there you go, 7k hit off the bat. Weak to dragon damage, these dragons are. Lizard Lord, if you haven't done the quest yet, good way to find them are in dungeons. So yeah, with the Bear's Might and the War Cry, need to use. Okay, this thing is actually immune. This thing is immune to dragon damage, so I need to swap that out. Again, waste time. BRB. Okay, here we go again. So I've got my Earth Strike. And you might need to be a bit strategic in dungeons. Use the boss floors, especially early on, to just like regain a bit of mana if you need. So floor 6, floor 3 as well, after buffing. You do want a little bit of mana in case we need to Osmo Strike to regain some HP. It's pretty good for that. Or use your elemental skill like Blight Strike or Earth Strike, whatever. But you can see pretty much we're going to one-shot every single mob here, unless it's a Zerk, one of the Arisen, a Zerk Arisen Pharaoh or something like that. There's still a really good chance that we one-shot it anyway. So that's why the rating I gave is fairly high. But we didn't talk about Crystallis, which Enlightened Prince drops. The stats aren't that good, and we don't. The attack is lower than the other suggestions, and we don't care about dropping our defense, and obviously, so it's not that good. So there you go, normal dungeon, smashed out. I had to kind of change my gear a couple of times, so it wasn't super quick. But let's do my menu gauntlet, and we're going to do boss dungeon this time, and we're going to see what we run into. There's a couple of run enders that do appear every now and then, which you can't really do much about. As I said, you got to be prepared to die. The thing is, we'll see here how fast we actually go. It's just, there's my War Cry, boom, volley 2. Volley 2. Okay, you could use, going to regain mana, try and play it safe, but normally I would just volley 2 there. The beauty of volley 2 is that it gives us ward turns as well, so it actually increases our effective HP there. Every turn we're gaining a ward turn. So the ward absorption, I think, is going to, what does it start at? 30%. But with Twilight Wisp healing, there you go, we heal there. It's not actually that bad. and you can of course use Osmo Strike. So okay, here we go. Hydra, this is a definite run ender. Really, you just gotta pray. Like, if you're Storm Force, you could use Lightning Strike 2, and it does a little bit more damage. But because I'm Earthen Faction, it doesn't really. It does like the same damage as Volley 2. So we got lucky with second chance, but we miss, and that's game over. Yeah, okay. So really, we could have killed it there. The main run enders are Hydras, but I think they're the main run enders regardless of what spec you are. You know, maybe if you've got really tanky gear. Hydras and Fallen Raz, especially like when you first get into the tier, like Fallen Raz really hits hard, and obviously any Zerks, like on any kind of tier 7 Zerk has the potential to one-shot you. So be wary of that. As I said, you want to find some kind of dungeon network with your mates, with your kingdom mates. Check out Orna Swash Discord. Honestly, even in the Arisen Swashbuckler Discord, there's a lot of Swashies helping each other out with dungeons as well, I think. So bear that in mind, check that out. And let's see how we get on in this second boss dungeon. Well, you can see two turns to buff, and then we one-shot everything until we don't. But there you go, there's a Twilight Wisp. We didn't kill that Carmen with our Volley 2, but Twilight Wisp hit in for over 800, took him down. So Twilight Wisp is my favorite pet at this tier, honestly. It's still like the daddy, still #1 choice. You know, even really strong in PvP. So okay, here's a Typhon. See that Dragon element? Didn't get anything good there, but I am searching for a good weapon. Okay, Colossus as well can be annoying. Potentially, you put in Ice Strike 2 there, which Colossus is weak to. Yeah, potentially should have done that to try and actually complete one boss dungeon. I don't think I can see anything else. Unless I made a Far Sight potion, which I don't have. So there you go. Yeah, like, pray for second chance. Or Ice Strike 2 would have been really good there. Here's an Arisen Lost Pharaoh actually. These are really quite annoying for a lot of people. Got view distance wrong. Okay, potentially could have actually used Osmo Strike there against the Colossus, but it resists pretty much everything. So what to do? Right, now let's check out the arena, which, as I mentioned before, actually really juicy in terms of orns at this point. So we've got 1700 orns, 1.7 mil. Let's just go in. I've got the Salah's robe on because I think it gave me like 3 extra attack or something like that in its current state, as opposed to not having it on. So, you know, if it gives you an attack increase of any kind, yeah, just put it on if you've got it. So we're going in 1757 attack, and arena is going to be lots of fun. Against other Blademasters, we can go Volley. Honestly, turn 1 you can just go Volley 2 for everything. I don't know how the new PvP system is going to work. Swashbuckler and Volley 2 are just a match made of heaven. So there you go. Magistrates with that extra base health are almost always going to be 2 shots, like at a minimum. Now at this point, what I could have is X-Slash instead of either Sleep Dart or Stun Dart, especially if you are quite an aggressive player and you're just farming the arena. But I think it's only Blademasters that actually have second chance, which you're gonna see regularly. So quite a niche point, but X-Slash is again super good. Well, I say niche, but here's another one. So 3 Volley 2s here, and then you can see 700 orns for that win. We've got a Magistrate Bard with Searcher's Flame. So potentially against higher HP enemies, you could Bear's Might. However, I think your best bet is honestly going to be Volley 2 first up, just to see how much damage you do. Okay, he's used Golden Fortitude now, and you see our damage didn't really drop that much. If our damage had went from 3k to like 500 in that battle, I would know that he actually has tankiness, and then I would have used a higher pen skill like Double Edge. That's what Double Edge is there for. But because our base attack is like super high, and most people relative to our tier and our level right now are not going to have like twice our defense. So Double Edge is a good skill. 25 mana. Yeah, against Blademaster's X-Slash is a good shout. Cost 50 mana. Really good shout. 790 orns there. Okay, so here's a Magistrate. Potential 3 hit as long as he doesn't kill us. Second chance. And Magistrate doesn't have second chance, so that's another win. Get that steady pendant. Get those greater souls coming in. So you can see the win rate is, yeah, really high. Really high. I would say at a minimum like 90%, like pushing 95%, something like that. And if you can kind of, let's say on average you 3-shot people, or it takes you 3 turns. Okay, now we're in a little bit of trouble. We got Blight. Really annoying. It's supposed to only be a 12% chance for you to not act, but it always seems more than that. But there we go. 4 or 5 turns is still pretty decent for 800 orns. This is a great thing to do at home if you can't travel, if you can't passenger seat. And yeah, arena farming, people will tell you it is strong early on. Even right now with Swash, it's still really strong. Like 800 orns compared to anything else is super nice. So use the arena to fast track your orn income to Magistrate, basically. Literally what you want to use it for. Experience, I don't know if that's either good or bad either. Probably it's quite good. Oh, a legendary mirror. I already have one. Alright, here's we go. Finally, Grand Mystic. Let's see if we can one-shot it. Yeah, we can. So if we didn't one-shot it, that's where Sleep Dart, Stun Dart potentially comes in. Perfect Shot, I haven't talked about. I think you need to pick it up from Arcanist. The thing with Perfect Shot is it's got like a negative penetration. It's like it lowers your normal penetration ability. So it still can be good. I haven't actually used it at this tier though, so that's potentially something I should have done. Something to bear in mind, like play around with it. If you find it, buy it, play around with it. How did we win that? Second chance, Blademaster Swash. Let's end it there. 748 orns, bunch of gold, bunch of XP. I don't think we lost a single fight there. 682 tokens. Is that what we started on? Let me just quickly check. 682. So there you go. 20 fights, 21 fights, 21 wins. Pretty sure. Average of 8 orns, so that's what, 16k orns in like 5 minutes or something. Pretty good. Now let's end it with the worst thing possible. Raiding. So as I said before, you're definitely going to want to tag the Baylor Elite raid for the weapons. It's super good. And I'll lay out the strategy that I've kind of described previously. It's going to be, again, much more effective when you pick up the Magistrate class, purely because you got more survivability because of your HP. Let me put on Curse Ring, and I'm going to put on those fiery Hobgoblin boots, which I didn't know I had. So yeah, against Baylor Elite, you do want fire res somewhere. If you don't have it in any of your gear, you would honestly probably want to use a fire belt or a flame belt. So we've got the mirror. Basically nothing else changes. And you want to Bear's Might first, always, because that's going to strengthen the power of your Osmo Strikes. That was a nice crit. So we kind of want to... Yeah, we're already fighting a losing battle here. Okay. Twilight Wisp got the healing. So at this point, we're going to use Threaten. We want to lower their attack. We got lucky. There's the Bestialize coming in handy. So yeah, when you get a free turn like that, you want to get your debuffs off. And against Baylor Elite, that's probably why I prefer the individual skills rather than Omni Strike, just because it's more consistent. So you keep Osmo Striking to regain health, and then if there's a miss or Bladed Elite takes a turn to not attack, that's when you want to either buff or debuff. I think I have a few super elixirs, so this is actually my best run ever. We can probably fit in Exploit, lower its defense. Osmo Strike, let's see how much damage we do. Healed 800, lost 956. Not positive outcome. Oh, there's a lucky crit, that's what we wanted. So really, the next point would be to get Warcry in or an attack tonic. Again, when you have that window of opportunity, either from a 1k wisp heal. The blight is annoying. There you go, can't attack. Oh, but we're still alive. You see, that would have killed us if we didn't have the fire boots. I'm gonna risk an attack tonic. Hopefully that blight will go away. Okay, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna use another super elixir. See how we go. Ah, I shouldn't have bothered. Yeah, okay. But that's the general strategy there. I managed to get about 75,000 damage. So you'll see in the Majistrate video coming fairly soon. This strategy will allow us to get much more damage done. Quickly on Titan, it's a very similar idea. Just take these boots off and gonna put on the earthen belt. So you definitely still want to keep doing lots of damage to Titan for the ornate armor pieces, for the ornate lunar pieces specifically. And here we go, Bear's Might, turn 1. So our Osmo Strike heals more. And Titan obviously gonna not be as bad as Bladed Elite. Still hits hard. So we get the attack tonic, and then we start the debuffing. Should have debuffed. Wow, okay. Even these single things don't always work, which is really annoying. At least you can target what you want it to drop, so we're not bothered about dropping its resistance. So there we go, that's it. And typically Osmo Strike 2 doing 3.5k. Crits are nice, of course. Not really any way of building crit at this tier though. Just gotta luck it out. And then get mana. So the better your mirror, the more mana you have, the less you have to mana pot, and you can get more consistent damage in per turn. And when it's safe to do so, when you're at full health, you can put in your nuke, which if you went Dragoon would be Dragon's Vengeance 2, but as I said, it's not charged. If you went Majestic, it could be swordplay. And this is it. You just keep on Osmo Striking. Petrify is annoying. I'm not going to sit here and keep attacking, but there we go. 68k there. So Titan more consistent. Bladed Elite, really you want to keep tagging it, as I said. Everything below that, yeah, Star Lord, obviously all the lower tiers can be fine, but make sure you don't kind of over level on the lower tier bosses. So on the lower tier raid bosses. So there you have it. I'm going to do another gameplay video for Orn farming. Be sure to check that one out. I will link it in the description when it's ready. This general strategy for gearing, for skill selection is going to be quite similar to Majistrate and at tier 7 and tier 8. If you want to play other builds as well at this tier, it's going to be similar ideas. So I hope you took something useful from this video. Remember those Discord servers, the Orna Legends, the Arisen Swashbuckler, link in the description below. Go in, post your gear, post your skills, ask for assistance. I haven't met a single Swashy player who hasn't wanted to help when they can. Like, Swashies are they're just so wholesome, so naked, just the best, really. Like my cat. He's really nice, he's on my lap, really super warm. Keeping me warm in the Scottish winter to come. So I hope this video was useful. I know it's super long, but I wanted to go into a lot of detail. I'm going to be doing shorter videos with more condensed information. Again, I'm going to post the full guide description in written format in the link description below. I will also post like build loadouts, so you can just quickly get the skill loadout, the gear loadout. That will be posted as well. If you've been considering playing Swash on your first foray into Tier 7, it's really fun playstyle, really fast, really glass cannony. If you love playing those glass cannon builds in RPGs and stuff, really recommend Swash. Plenty more Swash stuff and plenty more Orna content coming soon. I'm Shabash, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. À la prochaine, ciao. So without any further ado, we've got Toast here. Talk about a naked build. We've got a Swash cat here. This one. We've got the perfect Swash cat here on hand to give us a hand. Yeah, Swash cat.